Welcome back to Far From Perfect, everyone. I am your host, Kylie Larson, and today I will be doing a solo episode. This is something that I have been teasing for honestly, I think about a year because a year ago, almost to the day, is when I hosted my first summit, the Far From Perfect Summit. And during that time, there was just a lot of things going on, and it wasn't in my personal life. Right. And so I would say, I'll tell you guys later. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I was trying not to like vague book, right, with Facebook. Like that's what people say about Facebook. But I also wasn't in a place to where I could talk about what was going on, um, because I was in the middle of it. And several years ago, I was at a Brendan Burchard event, and I think it was Natalie somebody. She might be like the girl boss or something or other. She was talking about how you can't speak to it from your wound. You have to speak to it from your scar. And knowing what I know about personal development now, I'm sure she's not the first person to say that. So if you know who did say that originally, let me know. Um, Side note, don't be afraid to say your stuff because none of us are saying anything new, but someone might hear it for the first time because of the way that you say it. So, those of you that have your own businesses who do have a presence on social media, use your voice. Say your words. Don't be worried if someone else said it because chances are someone else did already say it. Okay, so that's that aside. But I'm finally at a place where I am like, on the other side of where I was. Now, I'm going to replay about the last year and a half, just a little bit of backtrack to give you a little bit of information. Before I go any further, before you listen any further, this is not a podcast episode where I will be helping you with nutrition or strength training. This is really just for anyone who cares. Like, that's another reason I put off doing it. I'm like, Kelly, no one freaking cares. Just move on. But I honestly feel like some people can benefit from hearing this. Now, the intention is not, I want to be very clear, the intention is not, and this is also why I didn't do it a year ago, the intention is not a woe is me story, because there was part of it that I was starting to play the part of a victim. And I hate that. I hate that so much. I am pro ownership, I am anti victimhood. But the thing is, we go through things, and sometimes you just have to have a pity party. Sometimes you had to have a pity party for yourself and feel the things. And yeah, things suck. Things really suck right now. And you're either going to get through it or you can end it. And I don't mean life, I mean like whatever it is that you're doing. So let's rewind. Things were going really well. This is all like business related. So let's backtrack. And because my business is mine, my life is my business. My business is my life. I have one child, but I got two babies. I have Brooks and I have my business. So my business is my baby and my business is me. It is all consuming, right? I think about it all the time, but I think that if you own your own business, that's just the way it is. I'm always thinking about how can I make this better? What's going to be changing? What are people needing right now? What do my clients want? What am I seeing in the marketplace? Where are my clients struggling? If I didn't already say that, what about the coaches? What do they need? How can I help them grow? What about myself? What do I want to do next? And a lot of you that do what I do in fitness and wellness or any other field, I know you know what I'm talking about. When I started back in 2016, it just grew. And if you're watching this on YouTube or while you listen along on Spotify, my hand gesture is going up. The trajectory was up. And 2 years ago, I had Leanne come in and she gave a financial talk to my team. And like we had exponentially grown year after year. And that is not normal, right? That is not normal. And in the back of my mind, I understood that. But having it go down after it had gone up was really, 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 really hard. Now, there had been signs. I knew something was shifting. I started my business in 2016. It grew, it grew, it grew. COVID happened in 2020. I already had an online program. So, of course, that exploded. But then in 2022, that is when things really started to shift. And I saw it before 2022 had started. And I had told my husband, I was like, listen, Pat, things are not going to be like they always were or like they have been since I started my business. I just want you to know I feel a shift coming. I'm seeing a difference in the numbers. I'm not having as large of groups as I used to have. It's harder to get a little bit of traction. There's more in the marketplace. And I didn't feel like he believed me, right? People would ask me, how's business going? And I'd be like, it's good, but it's not, there's something going on. There's something shifting and there's something changing. And on top of that shift, you guys, if you recall, that is when I went through the rebrand. That is when I went from the elemental coaching, or excuse me, that is where I went from lift to get lean, and then the lift to get lean perimenopause edition to elemental coaching. I don't regret that in the least. I don't regret it at all because saying lift to get lean makes me cringe. But I had to start over. And thank goodness for my friend JK, who would constantly remind me of that. He's like, Kylie, you're starting something new. It was the same, but honestly, it was different because the message is different. Lift to get lean attracts a person. You know what you're getting when you walk in the door. In your element, revive, not so much. I had to do some educating. One of the reasons I did that, and I don't know if it was a good or a bad thing, but I wanted to stop making the programs about me and my body, right? That's a lot of pressure. Any nutrition coach, any new trainer, any trainer, you know that feeling. And as my body is starting to shift in perimenopause, I'm not so comfortable with my body always being in the forefront. And the way I look is an indicator of how great my program is or is not, right? That's a lot of pressure. And I just wanted to take it off of the physical aspect because it's not about the physical. Selling that is really, really hard. So, was that a good move? I don't know, but it was an integrity move. So, I don't regret that in the least. But did that contribute to things going down? It probably did. It probably did because people want to lift to get lean. They don't want ownership. Okay, this is going to take you at least 5 years, everyone. Sign up today. That doesn't sell. But as I have honed my message, I am getting the right people. Lisa and I held an amazing coaching call in our Revive community today. And, when things are hard and you question everything, all you have to do is have one person have some sort of light bulb go off and you're like, yep, it's worth it. It's worth it. So did the rebrand hurt with everything going down? I don't know, maybe, probably. Then in 2023, it was like screeching halt. Screeching halt. And I won't give specific numbers, but just to give you an idea. Keep in mind, this is my livelihood, right? If I used to have 5 groups a year with 50 to 80 people in each of those groups, and they're all paying, let's say, an average of $300, that's one amount of money. So again, 50 to 80, 5 groups a year, paying about $300 versus 15 people, 20 people, 10 people. That is less than half. So, as my business grew, as businesses do grow, your operating expenses go up, right? I'm paying for things, there's software. It costs money to run a business. And when your numbers go down by more than half, that hurts. So I'm starting to feel all of this stress. all of this pressure? How do I pay the people that work with me, support me, the coaches, if I don't have money coming in? I had never felt that way in my life. And from 2018 to 2021, I had become the primary breadwinner in my household. And so when the numbers changed so drastically, this is no fault of Patrick's. I started to feel like I was letting the family down. And I'm starting to stress out over like bills. I have never had money stuff pop up ever before. And thank God for therapy. She's like, money stuff comes up with everyone. It's either your parents, sex, or money. Like, well, I'm in the money part right now. And so as I'm feeling all of those things and as I'm moving into that scarcity mindset, you scramble. You post more, right? You just try and do more. It's no different than being in a fat loss phase and you thinking it's not working. And so you slash calories even more and you add more exercise, you add more cardio, you add more workouts. I was essentially doing that with my business. If I look back, I don't know. I don't really know if I can tell if I look back. But the thing is, that's when I was just trying harder and harder and harder, and it wasn't working. Like, no matter what I did, it was not working. And so it was very, very defeating. But no one knew. Because I'm not going to come on social media and be like, hey guys, I used to have 100 people in my groups, and now I have 10, and complain and whine. Like, that's not necessarily information that anyone else needs to know. But it's hard to show up and sell. Like, my job, in addition to educating you, is to sell people into my coaching programs. It's hard to do that when you are feeling so dang low. Now, I mentioned a year ago, I held this amazing event. So my income is going down, 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 down. I'm spiraling along with it. And Leanne and I went to that conference in Vegas in, I think it was in 2022. And after I went to that, I was like, oh, I've got to do that. I have so many amazing people that I am connected with here in Denver. I want to put on a conference. I love that conference, and I do not regret doing it by any stretch of the means. But I had no business putting on an event like that. I had no business putting on an event like that. I lost more money than I would like to admit to you on that event. So if you came to that event and you bought a ticket, I appreciate you so much. So that was the other thing. I was hosting this event, which I'm doing something I've never done before, where I'm feeling lower than I've ever felt before in my life. My confidence is slipping away. And I am worried about getting people to this 2-day event. I was having trouble sleeping. I would wake up with my heart rate was like I was in the middle of running a race. I had never experienced anxiety before. Now I understand what anxiety feels like in my body. Part of me is grateful for that because I can relate to clients better now. But again, the financial strain of that. And for me to take a hit, it's one thing. Like, I can openly admit I'm a failure. Cool. No big deal. I fail at a lot of things a lot of the time. What sucks is the shame that I was starting to feel because it was impacting other people. Right? So it does not feel good to tell someone that you need to redo their contract because things are tight now. The shame associated with that was also really getting to me. Now, along with this, was it perimenopause? Right? So it's stress, it's trouble sleeping, perimenopause. Is it one of these things? It's all of these things that was contributing to the way that I was feeling. And I think that is what midlife is. It's not just perimenopause. It's all the other things going on in your life that happen to happen while you are in your 40s and your 50s. So it's like this perfect storm for burnout. So, in this time, I am this close to burning it all down because it's not worth my mental health to keep it going, right? I can't, it doesn't make sense for me to work the way that I'm working and not be making any money. I feel like absolute shit. I am terrible to the people in my house. I am no fun to be around. I'm walking into the gym miserable. I will never forget one day walking into the gym and I saw Alejandra, and all I could think about was, I don't want Alejandra to see me right now because I am so upset, right? And I would just go and do my workouts and I would feel okay for a little while, but then it would like all come back, and it would all come back right before bed. And then I would all just see dollar signs, worrying about money right before I go to sleep, and then waking up with my racing heart. Now that I'm out of it, I see that I was burnt out. And how I got out of it was starting to work with someone. So therapy the entire time. And my therapist, God bless her, like she would look at me and we would do Zoom sessions and she would just look at me and she would say, what's that sad look in your eyes? Like she's like, your eyes are really sad. And so her being able to see me was huge, but I was sad. I was sad. And the hardest part about it was I was having to show up and like sell and try and keep things going when the last thing I wanted to do was show up. And so I know there's a lot of you out there that feel that same way. And even if you don't do what I do, if you don't have a business where you have to show up on social media, to do your job, you have to show up. You want to present, you want to sell. Maybe you're not selling coaching, but you're selling widgets. You're selling financial planning. You're selling your home design, interior design, right? You don't want to show up when you feel that way, but you have to. So that's also when I started working with Dr. Jordan, who was on the last episode, because I knew at that point, I knew it was like, girl, I mean, I talk to myself all the time. I was like, Kylie, pushing harder is not going to get you there. Clearly, working harder and doing more, it's just repelling people. People can pick up your vibe. And I will own the fact that I probably wasn't showing up the best I could have. You guys pick up that energy. I know I do. I can tell when someone is not doing okay. I'm like, oh, I see she's going through what I went through last year. And that's okay. That's okay. But in my work with Dr. Jordan, again, that's where I learned to like trust and receive, because it wasn't going to be another reel. It wasn't going to be another Instagram story. It wasn't going to be another round of my program. I wasn't getting anyone in there anyway. So I had to learn to let go and trust. And other things started to pick up. That is one of the things that I learned with Dr. Jordan. We think that we're the only one, but if you step back and allow yourself to receive, then things start to work out. And I started doing other things with strategy and all of this, and things did start to get back on track. It was not a fast thing, but I'm in a better position now than I was last year at this time. And not just because I didn't put on an event, like from a membership standpoint, from getting people in the door, things are better than they were a year ago, thank God. Now, in this time also, so I told you, at first I was like, screw it, I'm going to burn it all down. I don't care. But then I was like, no, it's you don't need to burn it down. You just need to like dig it up. So that's what I told Dr. Jordan when I started working with her. I was like, I'm just going to dig it all up. But I was still feeling that financial strain. And so one of my friends posted that her company was hiring healthcare professionals, nutrition coaches, nurses, dietitians, personal trainers. And you would basically just be supporting their clients because they have a whole wellness thing. But their clients would be buying whatever supplements and like hormone replacement, but they needed to check in with someone however so often. I was like, oh my God, awesome. I could get some steady income without having to bring the clients in, be guaranteed X amount of dollars per month working this part time position. So in January, I accepted a position working for another company part time. Now, I don't know if I didn't understand the gig. I was hoping maybe that it was like a flexible part time, but it wasn't. I had to be on Zoom at 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. in the afternoon for my hours for that week. But then I was also having to run my business. And I tried that for about a month and a half, a month or so. And I was absolutely miserable. I'm in my office right now. So I would be up here from when I had to clock in with them until I could clock out. My freedom gone. That's the only reason I do this, you guys. Well, and to help other people, but like I don't do this so I have to be somewhere at a certain time every single day. Pat would come home from work and I would be in here and he was afraid to talk to me because I was just angry. I was so angry. I was having to get up early to work on my business and support my clients before clocking in for this other job. And then finishing that job, doing my business again, trying to squeeze in a workout and all of this stuff. And so I decided for a few reasons that it wasn't worth it. So number one, I had that shame of having to quit something, right? My friend offered this opportunity to me and now I have to turn it down. Although it was really nice having that steady paycheck, it just wasn't worth it. The second thing with it was, if I'm going to work that hard, that these were the light bulbs that went off. If I'm going to work this hard, I'm working this hard on my business. I have no business working this hard for somebody else's business. And those were the two big things. I just was angry. I was just so angry. And like I was seeing the founders of this company and I'm like, no, I'm the founder. I'm the founder. I am not an inside salesperson. Because that's essentially what the role ended up being. I thought I was just going to be able to get on the phone and how are your workouts? How are your meals going? But it wasn't that. I was having to learn a bunch of things, learn a bunch of products, which I would eventually be selling. And I love this company. I love this company. But I'm not an inside sales gal. I'm outside. So that was the other big takeaway. And once I had those realizations, all right, Kylie, money is not a motivator for you, right? Money is not a motivator for me. And if I'm going to work that hard, I'm going to work for myself. I kind of had this reinvigoration in my business. So I started connecting more with like my monthly clients one-on-one. I started doing onboarding calls for my business, just to put myself back in there. And I think that's one of the things that has helped me feel better about everything moving forward. And I'm just sharing this with you to remind you that You don't know what's going on based on social media. I was trying to allude to that last year. I was trying really hard to allude to that last year without like throwing a pity party for myself. But I threw that event during one of the hardest parts of my life, if not the hardest part of my life that I've ever gone through. It's just, when you see something that you've built start to crumble, it's so defeating. And now I understand that's all part of the process, right? When this happens again, because it will happen again, now I'll know, okay, it's doing that thing. Now I have the skill set, because the other thing was I didn't handle everything very well. So I could have communicated things better to the people around me that were working with me. And I didn't do that. But I didn't have the skill set. And again, that's kind of where the shame comes in. But I'm done beating myself up over that, because we don't know what we don't know. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the tools to deal with it. And I do feel like now I do. I hope I don't have to go through that for at least 2 years. But yeah, again, you just don't know what's going on social media. You just don't know. But long story short, everything is cyclical. Nothing is a straight line. Everything is up and down. And the working for someone else really was like, okay, I can't, I am highly unemployable at this point, at least when it comes to working that hard. Oh, and then, yes, one more thing. And then I started teaching yoga again. Now, I think it's about a year, maybe almost. I can't remember when I had applied to teach yoga at Lifetime. So this new Lifetime Fitness opened up by my house, and it's a beautiful gym, but you guys know I'm a pool rat. All I want is a pool. And I'm like, "Oh, well, if I can get a membership for free by teaching yoga there and go to the pool all summer, I definitely want that." And so went through the whole application process and auditions, which was wild because I've never had to do that before. Never. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't know who I am? Like, you seriously need me to audition for you? But whatever. I'm just like everyone else. And so I started teaching yoga again. And where I was at that point in time, it started giving me life again. It's something that was adding to my pleasure tank, right? As Dr. Jordan talks about. But that was in the summer. And now that things are wrapping up and things are getting busy, for the first time this week, I was like, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do this. It's one more thing to do. It's not adding, it's taking away at this point. There's so many things that you need to do with your business. You shouldn't be spending 2 hours working on your class and then going and teaching. So we'll see where I end up with that, because one of the lessons that I learned is I need to listen to these things. And that's a warning that I want you to also have. If you are feeling resentful for doing certain things, that's a sign of burnout. If you are constantly just go, 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 that's obviously a sign of burnout. If it's not adding, why are we doing it? The obligation part has to go. And that's, I think, one of the biggest parts about coming back from burnout is you do have to burn some things down. You can't do everything. But on Tuesday, so just this week on Tuesday, I had a moment. I had a moment, and my husband left for work late that day. And then I came home from working out, and I was getting ready to go teach, and he was already home from work. And I was going to have to go teach yoga. So I had worked all day, and then I had to go teach yoga. And that resentment popped up. I was like, what? And this is nothing, this is not Pat. That is not his issue. That is my issue. That resentment. I want you guys to check in with that resentment. If you're feeling resentment towards people, what is it they have that you don't have, that you want? I think Brene Brown talks about this. It's not Pat's fault that he didn't have to go to work as early and he got off work a little bit earlier. I'm the one with the problem. Now, I think it was the perfect storm, PMSing. I was coming down with a cold and it was 2 busy days. But it's got me thinking, okay, I have to pay attention. Is this new teaching gig, is it adding or is it taking away? And everyone who talks about how busy they are, we have to get really vigilant about all the things that we are doing. Why are you doing them? If it's not adding value, why are you doing it? Because when you are in burnout, when you are close to burnout, it, you, in order to come back, if you don't act proactively, you'll have to stop everything. So think about actual burnout, like adrenal fatigue. If you reach that point, your doctor is going to make you stop working out because it's just too much stress on your system. So be honest with yourself. Is this adding or is this taking away? Now, long story short, 2023 sucked. I hated it. 2024, much better. But it was my year of doing less and doing it better. 2023 did have some bright spots. Like it started off with promise. I went to, where did we go? We went to Arizona for my friend Alana's anniversary party. That was fun. That was in April, I think. And then in September, Pat and I got to go to Spain. But this is also how I knew things were not okay. I had this amazing opportunity to lead a yoga retreat in Spain, travel the world, not on my dime, and I didn't want to go. I was having a pity party for myself. Oh, I have to go to Spain to teach yoga. I have so much other stuff to do. I was stressed out about it. So that was rough. But it was also kind of like part of my path to healing because I did have some downtime and I had a really big light bulb go off and I wrote a blog about it. It was, the title of it was, I knew this place existed, but I never thought I'd get there. And part of that kept me going. Oh, let me just add on one more thing. If you're still listening, thank you. So when I was in Spain, that was a full week of no workouts, no control over nutrition. And I was so proud of myself. I was so proud of myself because there was no anxiety at all. None. And so in that moment, I said, Kylie, you found this level of flow. You found this level of ease with your nutrition and your exercise. Now you're going to do it with your business. And that's the honest to goodness truth. Let me just take 2 more steps back. August of 2023 is also when I went to Las Vegas by myself for my little silent retreat because I was so fed up with everybody and everything. I just needed to get away. School started. Brooks went back to school. And before school started, I was in the kitchen. I looked at them in the living room and I said, when school starts, I'm going to Vegas and you are not invited and you are not invited. I was just over everything. I was over the people that I love the most. Red flags, you guys. Like, let me be a warning to you. I do not like who I was in that year. I don't. And I do not want to go back there. And so that's why I want to be really vigilant. And I'm sharing this with you also because I know some of y'all feel the way that I feel. I know you feel that way, whether you have your own business or you work in a law firm. You look at your husband or your partner and you're like, why can't you just fucking make the dinner? You look at your kid and you're like, can you just stop talking? I am not proud of those moments. But that's what I went through. But that's also when I knew, like, Kylie, that is not you. That is not who you are. You need to get back to you. And the only way I could get back to me was by shedding some other things. So far, so good. I am conscientious as we shift from summer to fall because summer was easy. My clients are out doing their things. That means my workload is less. Nobody's focused on nutrition in July. That's cool. Live your life. I don't care. But things have gotten busier again. So far, so good, minus this week. This week was a rough one for me, but my antennas are up. And also, I need to do a Dutch test with Allie just to see where my hormones are. My progesterone might be low, like I was getting low progesterone vibes. But bottom line, you guys take care of yourself. Listen to those things. If you're not feeling like yourself, listen to that. I had I had some tummy stuff and I was like, "Oh, maybe I also need to do a poop test with Dr. Jen." Like, take care of yourself. Don't let yourself get to the point of no return because it's hard and it's a long road back. Now, as I say this, some of y'all are going to have to learn your lessons the hard way, and that's okay. That is okay. We're all eventually going to learn our lessons. I hope. I hope. So that's my little life update. I didn't want to be vague, but y'all, it sucked. It sucked really bad. And what sucked the most was I couldn't tell anyone. That's what sucked the most. I didn't feel like I could tell anyone. So then I felt really, really, really alone in that. And maybe that was myself isolating. I don't know. I don't know. But it was a dark, lonely time. And we do not want to go back there. So thanks for listening along. If you have any questions about how I came back from that or like my work with Dr. Jordan, that's why I love Dr. Jordan so much because, and my therapist, of course, they helped me get through this time. I started working with Jordan when I was kind of on my way out, but my therapist was clutch. If you're not going to therapy, what are you doing with your life? I mean, I know it costs money. I know it's another hour out of your week or every other week, but you guys, we can't do this alone. We can't do this alone, and we should not be left alone with our thoughts. Okay? Get yourself a therapist that says, why do your eyes look so sad? Because they're going to help you. All right, I hope this wasn't too like womp womp. I'm good now. We're good. And you guys can see it. I know you can see it. I know you can see it in my face. I see it in my face. I see it in my hair. I see it in my body. I see it in all those places. So again, if you're stressed to the max and you don't know why your body's not responding, check yourself, check your barometer. Let's just all get really, really real with what's actually going on. And with that being said, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much for chatting along with me, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.